Good Sunday morning. This is hashtag everyone talking about hashtag everything. I'm Kate Doherty with the Radical Ryan.
That's right.
The Magnificent Mac is missing. The Practically Perfect Penny has poofed. However, drum roll please.
She's back.
The lovely Laura McReynolds is joining us on today's
Hey,
show. Woohoo, yay.
Wow.
Confetti pop.
What's it been,
Ba-boom.
like 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I think it's been 3 weeks.
It's been at
Something
least
like
that. It has been a long time,
My
sister.
goodness, my goodness.
Long time. Okay, so
All right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there it is.
You know what? When I was in high school,
Oh.
and right before we'd go out to perform,
Yeah.
the gal next to me, her name was Jennifer. And if Jennifer yawned, we all knew it was going to be a fabulous performance.
Really? Really?
I just yawned.
And
So what you're
yeah,
saying is,
well, that's true because some people are watching and saw Kate yawn. But if for those of you listening, thank you,
true.
Kate, for saying why I said what I said.
Yep.
So it's going to be a fabulous
That's
show.
right.
Okay, so there has been something that's been laid on my heart this week, and Ryan and Laura have absolutely zero idea.
Zero.
We're along for the ride.
And
Try no doubt.
I imagine old Radical Ryan will probably toss me a few curveballs along the way. But, okay. I realize this is October, but this is October Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And we're going to talk about something that I'm very passionate about. And we're going to talk about something that's been bothering me since about January last year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And it just recently, I started to see some people popping up and putting their 2 cents in where it doesn't belong. And I am, and I've said on the show, I am an inclusionist.
Right.
That means I am a hardcore, I am an old school, I believe in consequences with meaning. I have a lot of things that I believe. I'm not a, I'm, when it comes to my educational philosophy, I probably veer way more old school than new school, definitively. Meaning like my children sat in timeout. And some of you, if you're listening to the show today, go, oh my goodness, you did not. You know, I am not a gentle parenter. So if you're listening to the show today, I feel like I need to put it out there.
Right.
You're probably going to be triggered. And I'm saying this because I do want you to understand where I'm coming from as I say this.
Absolutely.
So we have, prior to this last January, about 30 years of freaking amazing research of why inclusion for children with disabilities is actually shown to produce way better than segregated settings. And you can say, Kate, why are you bringing this up now? Well, because in January, some jackknife at Vanderbilt University that will remain unnamed, or I can link you to his article, came out and said, oh, no, research is flawed. Children with disabilities shouldn't be included.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it opened this Pandora box within this disability community. And so I'm going to back way up and go into my history poli-sci. And for me, including children with disabilities in general education settings is their God-given right. It's where you start. You should not be starting them in segregating settings. And you can say, why, Kate, do you think that? Well, I think that, one, because I do believe in God, and I believe the man above, and I believe that we're all humans, and I believe that we should all start on that same footing, and understanding that some of us may need extra support, and it may need to look a little differently. However, I also, legally, there's this thing called Brown versus Board of Education. Came around a really long time ago, and it said separate but equal is not okay. And so here's the deal. I am not now, nor will I ever be, a segregationist, period. I can't support it. And I'm now 17 years into having my own son. I wouldn't have supported it when I was a general education teacher without a child. But I'm here to tell you there's no way I can support this. And I've heard a lot of really ridiculous stuff over the years. And so on the show today, what I'd like to talk to you guys about and with you guys about is some of the ridiculousness I've seen or heard over the course of my over close to 30 years in education now, and in real life, because I do think that makes things different. And I do want to be clear here, there are some children and some adults who have such significant issues in some capacities, things like feces smearing, things like violent behavior towards self or to others. Yeah. Quite frankly, while people want to put this quote unquote towards individuals with disability, guess what? There are totally freaking neurotypical people who have some of these same issues that we just don't know why. There are people who have no diagnosable disability, but for whatever reason become psychopaths or become. This is true, right?
Yeah,
Am I
right.
wrong?
No,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, so having said that, one of the things that bothers me that we do with kids with special needs is from their very first entry into school. And by the way, many parents don't realize they can opt out of some of these things. So I think that's why it bothers me. Everybody acts like it's a full-on opt-in, like, oh, you must put your child in this specialized setting if they have a diagnosis of A, B, C, or D. Well, does the child need that specialized setting?
Right.
That's my question. And for some kids, the answer may be, yeah, they do, because they need either feeding support or they need perhaps medical needs, or perhaps their behavior is dangerous to themselves or others. Although that's actually about 3% of the time if you're looking at children 5 and under. Right. That's really not all that common. So when you look at one of the arguments that they say, well, kids receiving one-on-one individualized academic instruction do better academically. Can anyone, can either of you go, well, duh?
Duh.
Seriously. So, okay. Maybe
Private tutor.
I'll give
Private
you that
tutor,
point.
whether you're neurotypical or neurodivergent.
Yeah, one-on-one instruction, you're going to get further. You're right. Brian, you're a sports guy. If
Right.
I get you a private coach
You're
or
gonna
a
do better.
Are you going to really shocking?
More likely you're gonna do better.
Really, and if I get you a private physical therapist, who's going to,
because they're doing everything just with you. Like you are the sole focal point.
yeah,
And customized.
yeah, and
Right.
can you do that 8 hours a day? Be the sole focal point of any one human being? Can you imagine?
I
Just
wouldn't
looking from the
want
jock
to.
perspective. I want to pull the jock in here.
Okay.
Think about. You've been to practices, right?
Yeah.
And you know kind of the setup and format.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a typical. Let's put this. I want to do it in a sports analogy.
Okay.
Ryan, you may be my saving grace
All right.
today.
Okay.
Okay, so a sports team, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody on the sports team, basically that's general education, right?
Yeah.
That is general education. Okay, well then, XYZ, whatever player, I don't know. It's football season, so we'll keep kind of going with the football thing.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Well, we need to give them some specialized instruction. Okay, all right, I'll give you some specialized instruction. Can you do that 8 hours a day for an athlete? Specialized, one-on-one, only, how viable is that going to be? And they may get better, but at the end of the day, don't they have to play as a team?
100%. That's at the end of the day, there are certain athletes that do have their own personal coaches. If we're talking about it, obviously a professional level, right?
Yeah, they'd have a therapist. They'd have
their
a
own-
physical therapist.
Correct.
They'd have a personal trainer.
Now the thing is okay, well, look, quarterback, right? Quarterback throws the football. He's got his own quarterback's coach that he will work with on the side. Not everybody does, but some do. That they will work with on the side for X amount of hours, in a week or whatever. But yeah, that all is great. But if you're not able to come back to the team and play with everybody else that's on the team, given the skills that you have learned with said private coach, really the only thing that matters is, well, okay, you can throw the football into a net, but can you throw it to the receiver that's running a route that you have to be timed with him based upon his speed and where he's at? So there's a complete team element. That's why the old saying is there's no I in team. It's literally everybody together.
Yeah. So for me, what you just described, though, that's the same. Like, so this study from Vanderbilt. Well, you're right. I mean, hey, that's great. I guess maybe they made more progress in academics in an isolated setting. What good does it do if they can't apply it across to their relationships in life? What good does it do if they don't learn simple random, quite frankly, both ways? Like, somebody's got to be learning how to catch the ball, right? You know what I mean? Like, great, we just spent all this time teaching this kid to throw it, but great, now he comes out to the team, we didn't spend any time at all teaching the others to catch it.
Right.
And that they have zero idea on how to work together. And I see this, and I know if you're listening to the show today, you're going to go, man, she is on a rant. And you're right, I am, because I see this every freaking day.
Well, let me put it this way, Kate, because I think a lot of the discussions that we have on this show, and for good reason, they have a lot of correlation, right? Because of the topic at hand that we are discussing, and with the disability factor and things like that. This actually goes back to a topic, and I don't remember what it was, and I'm going to say this in this way, but I don't want to be taken that way, that people like to take the easy way out. And I understand if we're going to look at it from a school setting. I understand, just like you do and anybody else, having a neurotypical, right? Is that the word I'm looking for the...
It's the word I like. You know what I mean? I like it better than quote unquote normal. I mean, that's a setting on the dryer, right?
I have the neurotypical, child that I, as a teacher, a professional, or whatever, I'm around 98% of the time. And I have an idea of how to generalize that group. But then you throw in, and my math probably isn't completely right, but the 2%, right? That is but you get what I'm saying.
10.
We'll go with 10.
Here's
90,
what
10.
I would say. There's 80%.
Sure.
That, like, throw them against the wall.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you can run just general. And then you got 10% that are super advanced. They need more, as far as they need to be challenged.
Yeah, right.
They're your high flying athletes.
No doubt.
they're you know what I mean. They're your star court.
Academically,
You mean,
just
like,
all
they
there.
are boom. And then you get your 10%. You get your Rudies.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you got your Rudies, and man, some of them work hard. But they're gonna
Right.
it's gonna take them a little longer to get there.
So with that 10%, it makes it difficult, because you're like, well, where does this fit? How do we make it fit? And the reality is, and I think what the point is sometimes it, like I say, it doesn't. You have to come up with a solution that works for said 10% to include them with the 80. You know what I mean? Because we want to sometimes stick a square peg in a round hole, and that's not fair. It's not fair to the kid, And so I grew up in a location that we separated the two. And I look back on it, didn't realize it, but now here I am at 29, going to be 30. There is a big part of me that's like, man, I wish I as an individual got more exposure to that earlier on, because these kids that were the same age as me or whatever, I had zero interaction with them at all, to the point where I'd go out into the quote unquote real world and I would see someone that has a similar thing and I wouldn't know what to do. And that's not fair. And that's more so, that's not fair to that person than it is to me, because I don't know what to do. Versus if I would have been in an environment, and I'm not saying I got to have all the answers of how that said kid needs X, Y, Z, but you'd have a better understanding of.
It would be your norm.
It would be the norm. Yeah.
It would be your norm, because you would have had the exposure.
Yeah.
And so it would have created, for lack of kids kind of rolling around. Oh wait, I think they're stemming. You know what I mean? Like, would have been part of your common vernacular. You would have, you would have simply realized. It's just kind of one of those things. When you grow up with it, when you're around it, you kind of learn to roll with it. And I'm not going to win friends when I say this. When you ask,
you want to pause that?
Oh, I probably better pause that.
Pause it. We'll come
I'll
back?
pause it and
All
we'll
right.
come back. He's waving at me, guys. That means we're gonna have to come
you on the
back
edge
to
of your
this.
seat.
But for now, hopefully this show will cause you to question some things that you haven't maybe considered before. For now, this is hashtag everyone talking about hashtag everything. Good Sunday morning. This is hashtag everyone talking about hashtag everything. I'm Kate Doherty with the Radical Ryan,
Right.
the lovely Laura McReynolds, and the magnificent Mac and the practically perfect Penny are off gallivanting around. And first segment, we were talking about. I was honest. I feel like I came out of the closet, but just kind of basically said, "Here's the deal. I'm a hardcore inclusion girl. I mean, and anybody who
Anyone
knows me,
listening should know this.
they should probably figure it out. And I'm old school, and that's just kind of. And since about January, I've been really upset. And I kind of had hoped that little study done by Vanderbilt would like kind of people go, oh well, you no different than well, of course he's just looking kind of at academics. Like if you have private anything that might. And anyway, unfortunately, there's been some people who've made it grow a little louder, and it really scares me. It scares me on behalf of kids and children and adults and that I see in schools, because it is hard enough right now when I live in an area that's vastly segregated for children with disabilities. And you said something, and it triggered me. It triggered me. I need to go find a safe space because people do have this assumption that working with children with disabilities is somehow harder. And you can say, Kate, well, you got to learn these different techniques. You've got to learn these different things. I'm going to make an argument that it hasn't gotten harder to parent or teach children, neurotypical and those with disability. We've gotten lazy. And you can say, Kate, I'm saying we, parents, teachers, we have gotten lazy, because I believe we all share a culpability in this.
Absolutely.
So there used to be this thing called a one-room schoolhouse model. And in that one-room schoolhouse model, you had one teacher. And you would have children from whatever, sometimes 4 years old, sometimes 5, maybe some not having anything until age 7, all the way through high school. Some of them graduated in 8th grade, or you know what I mean, or like that. But it was just kids who were in a one-room schoolhouse. They were learning to read. And you can say, well, Kate, they didn't educate children with disabilities. That's not necessarily true. We didn't have all those laws to govern it. Now, at that point in time, you're right. Some children with disabilities were simply institutionalized, killed, not allowed to live. For God's sakes, in 1990, for children with Down syndrome, the average life expectancy was 13 years of age.
Wow.
I mean, so there's a whole lot that can go into that. However, there were some children in those one-room schoolhouses that had disabilities that were taught alongside their typical peers and moved along at their own progress. And how do I know it? Because actually I'm friends with some of them, because they're my freaking age, because one-room schoolhouses were still around. I'm 51 freaking years old. Now they may not have been the predominant, but I can tell you that I have some friends up in Chicago who happen to have Down syndrome, and their early years, they were in a blooming one-room schoolhouse. So such things did, and with their typical peers fully included.
I so badly wanted to make a joke.
Oh, I'm sure you please.
Okay, well, I'll make the joke. So, my elementary age schooling was done in Arkansas. Oh. Yeah, the one-room schoolhouse where my mom went was the same one-room schoolhouse that I did not go to because I was in kindergarten and they didn't allow kindergartners in. But my brother went to. And the summer after I moved to Arkansas, they tore it down and built us a 2-room schoolhouse.
No!
Okay, and I don't remember any children with quote-unquote learning disabilities or quote-unquote special needs. We didn't call them any of that. But I guarantee you, of those 24 kids in that 6th grades, there were a couple that were hands-on, needed extra help. I could name them. I'm not gonna, but I still remember their names.
Yeah.
That had to have been some kind of a learning disability that I just didn't know what it was that they needed extra help.
Children don't recognize diagnoses.
No.
Children just recognize Joey and Billy and Janie and Susie and all of those
And
things.
I was going to say that a minute ago when Ryan was talking and you jumped up and you said normal, meaning if your experience is just normal. How is any of this conversation any different than my kids coming home from school and saying something like, oh, JC was off his meds today. You know, you're in
Right.
third grade and you
Right.
say that? How do you know that? Well, you know that because it's your normal. Is he having a good day or is he having a bad day?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's included in the normal classroom. It's just normal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well,
That's a good
and
point.
I think one of the things they'll say, and I hear this all the time, that child is 2 or more grade levels below in whatever reading like this, and they act like this is a big thing. I would like to newsflash all of you listening out in the tri-states. I taught high school English. My children with disabilities, quote unquote, were not the only ones who were 2 or more grade levels behind.
Right.
You get what you get when you get your kid in high school. Like when a kid comes to me in high school and they can't read or write, I have to start at ground zero and I have to work with them where they are. Now, can I make progress? Absolutely. But also, newsflash, I'm a speed reader. My husband frickin' is not. We are working towards a reading proficiency. Not everyone is going to be or want to be
At the same level.
at the same level. And we have this thing now. And no, I agree. It would be wonderful. I want to get everybody to a 6th grade reading level. That's great. That's what newspapers are written at. That is absolutely what I like to get them further. Do I love reading? Yes, I love all those different things. However, the discussions around what are you doing? You're reading to learn, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, for someone without eyes, can they still read? Yeah, they can
Yes.
read with their ears or they can read with their fingers.
Right.
And so we've gotten ridiculous because when we start denying kids access to the curriculum, to the playing field, because, oh no, they aren't where, quote unquote, everybody else is.
Yeah.
Or, and this is for the 10% on the top part, or when we quit giving kids, if they want more, need more to be,
Right.
and they're ready,
To
and
engage
we
them.
aren't giving them more to engage them, and we're saying, nope, you got to stay right here, and then we're wondering why they're bored, well, then shame on us. And so when I look at this Vanderbilt study that's saying, we aren't always, if it's purely about academics, okay, well, here's the deal. If it's purely about academics, hire your kid a private tutor. They will get further than anybody in a public or private school environment in any given day,
Can
period.
I ask a question about this study? Because you said you kind of had hoped it would just, lose its luster or whatever. Because again, duh.
Right.
But I don't see how it can get any traction in a public school setting. The idea that we can have one-on-one tutors for every single student who has any kind of additional need, whether it be high or low or medium, I mean, that's just such utter nonsense. It's not going to happen.
What they've begun doing, because the way inclusion reads, is it's access to the least restrictive environment as it pertains to academics. So, i.e., the very rules that were designed, free and appropriate education, all these rules that were designed to help get children with disabilities into general education classes are now being used to get them out of the general education
Wow.
classrooms, because in order to learn, they need a different environment in order to fully be able to, quote unquote, academically. And technically, it's a pretty freaking valid argument, because if you're looking, well, it's only about academics. Well, but it's not. Nor
Right.
actually, quite frankly, was public education ever designed to only be about academic. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be, all these other pieces. And yes, guys, I think if you're listening to this going, Kate, you're missing the point. Schools for academics. Well, then why in the frick do we have sports teams?
Right. No, I totally agree.
I mean, why? If it's
clubs,
only about
or-
academics, then why do we have art? Why do we have music? Why do we have? It's only about academics. You can't. It's this. I feel sometimes like right now when I see that Vanderbilt study, I feel like I've gone down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, what is happening? These rules and regs that are designed to help get our children in the general education classroom, like you're twisting the very words, and then you're using them to go back, and it really bothers me.
That's because it's easier. That's the point.
Group them all, lump. Well, but
no, but I'm
then,
saying- no, no,
then
no.
I go really radical, because I mean, like, well, then what's the difference between them? Then fine, let's go back to black school, white school.
Honestly,
I mean,
that's where my brain just went.
That's
if we're
what
just
you're
going to
doing.
undo everything, how far are we going to undo it?
Well, when I say easier, what I mean is again, like, not having to deal with the lower 10%. in that regard, like keeping them separated. That's the
So,
easier
but see, here's the
route.
thing.
And I
I'm
don't
gonna-
agree with that, but
No,
that's
but
what it
I'm
feels
going to
like.
make the argument.
Yeah.
And I love you, Ryan. You're feeding into me today so beautifully. I'm going to make the argument.
Yeah.
It actually makes it harder.
Well, yeah, because you're gonna find people that are gonna teach it all the time and be there
Well-
as from the separation.
Well,
part.
and okay,
That's
your kids are 3, right?
Yeah.
So you've kind of been in like some of those daycare environments,
Okay,
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so, and by the way, God bless anybody who works with daycare. I mean, like, I'm here to tell you, if you work with that 5 and under age group, woo
Fun
woo.
time right there.
Anyway, so I do work with, I do some stuff with littles. And I'm here to tell you, I cannot fathom with some of my littles who haven't learned how to and these are typical kids, by the way. You know what I mean? Or typical, and I have a little bit of both, and they haven't learned how to regulate their little bodies yet. I'm here to tell you, I cannot imagine if you took all my good little role models, because there are some really good little role models that, Joey and Billy and Janie, and they watch them and then they kind of try and mimic what they do, even though their little bodies are like little popcorn farts all over the place.
Kidding.
I mean, like,
Seriously, popcorn farts.
so now imagine if you took all your popcorn fart little kids and you put all the popcorn fart little kids in one room. And then,
We need to take a bath, is what we need to do.
oh man,
Popcorn farts.
well,
Oh, my God.
but you know what I'm saying. And then you have okay, the nice, where are you supposed to learn appropriate behavior then? I mean, and that's just taking it from any child with any different piece. I literally begged a mom the other day, please continue to send your kid. Please send your kid, because I really need your kid in this particular little group, because she's got a little good dominant personality, and she's got her little act together, and
thing.
I need her to she's modeling
To
the little
model.
cutting
Yeah.
skills, and she's modeling what it's supposed to look like. Because trust me, it doesn't look like that for everybody.
No.
And
No, go ahead. Yeah.
and I know that some people have different opinions on what school should look like. And I will tell you that I do believe, for the most part, the vast majority of teachers that are out there and working with kids are doing amazing things on a daily basis. And I will say that, but one of the things I will say, because we've become so focused on scores, I know that inclusion works because if you accommodate and modify for every kid and build it in as part of your curriculum and provide therapy services to all the kids, especially when they're little, your scores, and I could point any school that has crazy high scores in the tri-state area is doing some level of inclusive schooling where they are accommodating and modifying and building exactly what we're talking about right here, because that's how you build a good team.
That's a good point.
I mean,
brings everybody up.
You are
Yeah.
going back to the football analogy. If you want to have a winning team, you have to invest in all your players.
It's fair.
And you have to spread that investment out over all your players. And those are the ones that win the Super Bowl.
There it is.
That's the way it is. I mean,
You're going full on sports.
I
fans for
told you
life.
I was going to
My
try and meet
goodness.
you. I knew if I put it in this capacity, you'd be able to take it and roll with it.
Tiny
Anyway,
sports brain now knows exactly what you're talking about, Kate, and it makes so much sense now to me.
well,
Thank you for being inclusive with me.
well,
I
I'm
appreciate
working. I can also do an agriculture analogy, but you probably wouldn't like
wouldn't
that
have-
one as
see,
well.
Now you're going too far. left
Anyway,
field.
but the
You
farmers.
lose both of us.
That's what I'm saying. No, but see, you know what she's doing? She's being inclusive,
Yeah.
Ooh,
coming together.
see,
helping me out.
I
And
love
I'm
you.
growing
Very
together.
nice. Very nice.
Anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. And then I also do want to share just a little bit about my experience. And actually, this past week, Laura got to see some of it with me. And so we'll talk about that. For now, this is #everyone talking about #everything. Good Sunday morning. This is #everyone talking about #everything. I'm Kate Doherty with the Radical Ryan, the lovely Laura, the Practically Perfect Penny, and the Magnificent Mac are MIA today. However, we've been talking about inclusion and inclusive schooling and arguments against it, and hopefully arguments for it.
No doubt.
And one of the things that I really need people to understand when we have this discussion and why I'm so passionate about it, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. Ryan, what did you make in high school geometry your sophomore year?
What did I make?
What grade?
Wise? No idea. Can't remember.
Laura, what did you make in high school economics in whatever year you had it? Any idea?
No idea.
An A++++.
When was
I
the last
might have.
time?
No, just joking.
Right.
Look, Ryan, when was the last time somebody asked you for your GPA?
The last time was when I was applying for colleges.
Okay, when was
That's
the last
right.
time somebody asked you your GPA?
Yeah.
Colleges.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to say. When we have these arguments, and I do understand that educationally there are rules and regulations and laws and blah 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 that we have to follow.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you not to follow that. I'm not telling you not to make academics important. That's not what I'm saying. What I am going to say is school, K through 12 is 13 years. You had 2 years maybe a preschool on there if you have that option. Okay, so it's 15 years. If you're a person with a disability and you want to go to school until 22, I guess you can. So that's 4 more years. So basically, we're looking at what? Am I doing my math right? What's that? 19 years now, maybe.
Yep.
So we're looking at from 13 to 19 years is what school is.
Yep.
I'm keeping college out of it because that's
Generalized, yeah.
optional. Your lifespan, what is it now? The average life expectancy, is it 73, 74,
No, it's
78?
80s.
80s. now, yeah.
Is it 80s?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so 70% of my life is going to be spent in the quote unquote real world. And you want me to focus only on that, the academics? How many Rhodes Scholars do you guys know?
Not very many. Not very many.
I mean, I don't mean it to sound wrong. Like, I'm feeling like maybe learning how to be a good human is really freaking important, and you can't learn how to be a good human in isolation. And that's for typical and neurotypical people.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to the whole point of what I was saying. Like, I didn't grow up in the inclusiveness. That wasn't what
Yeah, me neither.
my school system had done. Again, right, wrong, it was that time, whatever. But there's a part of me that obviously wishes they did, because you would have been exposed to it sooner. And to your point, it would have been just the norm, of what I would have done there, So, again, and I want to reinforce what you were saying, in school is very important. It is very important to kind of get you to where you want to go and open your eyes to, and really that's what I think now that I've, grown up, guys. I want and hope that school really just needs to become, in a sense, and what I mean is, it is a time in your life where you are able to explore different avenues, whether that is all of the math, science, history, whatever, and figure out what makes you happy. That's what I have always felt the point of school is. What works for you. And then if you want to further enhance that via a college degree that goes in line with what you want to do in life, go for it. If that means that you go through high school and the trades is what ultimately you are going to decide to do, that is what you figured out in
Do schools even still have shop? I don't
They
even
did.
know.
They did when I was in there.
Agriculture does. Some do, some don't. It depends on the different school systems.
So at the end of the
But-
day, before you jump in,
But
at the end of the day,
again, just
right.
for another example of it, doesn't have to be someone with a learning disability. It could be somebody with an affinity of working with their hands.
Well, that's the thing. But when you really think about it, again, if that in and of itself is the point of school, or at least should be, then at the end of the day, neurotypical, non-whatever, that's your time to figure that out. And what is now being discussed and what you are saying, we're not going to allow that for some. We're not going to give that for
Access.
some, that access for some. And that's the part where it is a bit ridiculous.
Well, and I think one of the other things that when I look at this and when I think of it and why it's fundamentally flawed
Yeah.
to me is this is the time, to your point, that the kids are supposed to learn.
Right.
Whether that's learning how to sit still in a chair and be bored, that is a very valuable learning skill. It is crazy important.
Yes.
Or like when they start to, well, hold on, I'm going to back up. Over the last 17 years of Elliot's life, Tony and I have made a lot of choices that we got a lot, and when I say a lot of flack over, about how we chose to educate actually Elliot and Ella for that matter. Ella, because I have kids. I mean, and Olivia is the 80%.
Sure.
She can take it and roll with it. Ella is the 10% to the up, and Elliot is the 10% kind of there. So it's been interesting.
Yeah.
And with Ella, we never chose to show her grades. Now, obviously, she's in high school. She gets to look at them, and people would really get on me about this. What do you mean you aren't going to show her your grades? Like, because she doesn't need to know. I want her to learn how to do her best. Well, she needs to know her grades. She doesn't need to know her grades. I want her to do her best.
That's fascinating.
That is what we tell her to do. And part of it is, I mean, she knows she's smart. She's too darn smart for her own good. Dad, you can tell her I said that. But anyway, and with Elliot, it was so much more important for him to learn the value of sitting in the chair, being bored. Yes, Elliot can read. Yes, he can write. However, we got a private tutor in the summer. You know what I mean? Like, and it was a high school kid. It doesn't. People act like some of this has to be so much money. It doesn't have to be so much money. It can be done. It is a little bit of extra work. Guess what? When I got a tutor for Elliot, I got a tutor for Ella too. Why did I get a tutor for both of them? You could say Ella was already, but she needed to be pushed. She needed more. And Elliot to get where they were. And so now, like, here's the thing. Like, when I look at all three of my kids, and I guarantee I'm not a perfect parent, Ella will tell you she's going to need therapy. Like, period. Like, I mean, could you imagine having all this as your mom? It would be a train wreck. I mean, it would be a lot.
I don't know how she does it.
But-
to be
So
honest.
the thing about the not showing grade, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, no. Go.
I'm just totally jumping in here. So I never really thought about that because I knew you did that, but I never really thought about that until just now. So my oldest was the kid who literally was holding a crayon in preschool and wouldn't put it on the paper. And my mom leaned over at, Grandparents' Day and said, "Oh, honey, why aren't you coloring?" He said, "I am in my head and it's perfect." So I had a perfectionist and an academic. Everything came easy.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. First B plus or A minus, I don't even remember now. In high school, I cheered. Why in the world would you do that? Because he was no longer running for perfection. And the pressure was off, and he could just do his best.
Yeah.
And it was a fabulous day. And he, laughs about it now. I can't believe you cheered. I'm like,
No, yeah. That's awesome.
so it's the same idea.
It is absolutely
And I
the
never
same
really thought
idea.
about that.
So it's absolutely the same concept because at the end of the day, do you want them to learn like, oh, I made a mistake. Okay. Now I need to say I'm sorry. I need to pick myself up. I need to dust myself off. I need to figure out what I did wrong, and I need to go. Like that's grit. Quite frankly, that's why we're supposed to have sports and things like that in school, so we can learn that really valuable, important skill. And the same applies to academics or different pieces. And the other night when I said, I would tell you, other night we went to State Street they have a jazz night.
Yeah.
Laura and Ralph came. My mom and dad and I were there. And Elliot loves to go. Like, he loves jazz music.
It was fabulous, by the way.
It was
the first
fabulous.
time I'd been in
Second
8 or 9
Wednesday
years.
of every month. I highly recommend it. Really great experience.
don't
But
know how
one of
many
the
horns they
things
had.
that Elliot did, and Tony was sitting there, 'cause he hadn't gone with me before to this. So Elliot asks different women, walks over and says, "Hello, ma'am, will you please dance with me?" He escorts them to the dance floor.
Puts out his elbow, walks you down to the dance floor.
And then when you're done dancing, he walks you back to the chair. He asks, and I'm watching him do this. And I'm thinking,
Ralph was floored.
it is so,
I wasn't.
It was
Right.
it is so cool. It makes me smile because I think of all those people who said, "Why would you want him included? Shouldn't he be with his own kind?" We mean humankind, because that's the kind that I'm liking, because I'm here to tell you, watching him do that, it makes my heart so happy. And I want you to know, Ryan Muma, and I will say this right now.
Uh-oh.
If there is a good-looking 17-year-old boy, he ought to be taking some pointers from my Elliot, because I'm here to tell you, every little lady there from probably 16 to 86 might have been the age range. When he went over, ladies love to be asked to dance.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, and here's the deal. If he got shot down, which I think only happened twice. I think there were 2 people who said, "Oh, no, excuse me, you know what I mean? No dancing for me." However, he just went on to the next one. Would you like to dance with me then, ma'am? I mean, and it was hysterical, but I'm like, that's what you need. You want to know what it takes to be successful in
Seriously.
life? You get shot down and you just keep on
Get up
going
and
for
keep
it.
going.
That's
mean-
awesome. And just to have the charisma, as we will say, to be able to do that, and just his personality. And again, I know we talk about it all the time, but it's just, that in and of itself is the reason why you want, not you, but just in general, like you want inclusion, and I think, again, and we're up against it almost on time-wise, but yes, not everyone is going to be Elliot.
No.
No, not everyone. And and I'll be honest, Elliot from, he is a hot, like, I don't even know how to say it. He is one of them that is very, has very much excelled at everything that he's done. But that's from the naked eye. Like, if I were to see,
and it's taken a lot of work to get to that
that's
point.
my point.
Yeah.
If I was a bystander and I was just looking, I'm like, man, that kid just got it all put together. But it takes time. It takes time to get him there. And obviously that's a commending thing for you and Tony. But it's, again, it's back to the point of, yes, not everyone's going to be Elliot, but to get a version,
Better access
right,
to life.
that is what the point is that you want.
And
Because it can help
and
with
I
that.
don't see a way that you do that
Right.
successfully
Correct.
without inclusion. I really don't, because I see no way to do it. So when I say things to you, like, I really feel like the way some people are interpreting those results for Vanderbilt, they very much do scare me. They scare me on behalf of every child who learns life a little bit differently. Because at the end of the day, our goal is always to grow good humans.
Absolutely.
No.
So today, as you go out, say a little prayer. And remember, every child is a gift. Every child can learn, and every child does learn differently. For now, this is #everyone, talking about #everything. See you next week.